Hello everyone, so we've had a little bit longer to brew over the over-the-air patch changes, and we're going to be throwing all three buffed up cards into one deck, and that is going to be a Silver Surfer deck. So Forge in this deck is taking the place of a more traditional Goose or Invisible Woman or something similar, and he's a 2-cost 4 power at his core, whether you use him on your Brood or not, but you have that slight opportunity to use him in unison or along with your Brood to get a lot bigger benefit in that Brood lane. If not, that's fine. We have the Shanna that is going to give us a lot of additional reach. So if we Stormlock a location and we don't have Brood to fill up that lane, Shanna can always add a 1 cost there later. It can help us dodge Killmonger plays if they clear up one space with their Killmonger, and it just gives us that reach that can oftentimes be very unreliable but surprising and can do some kind of cool things at times when you need it the most. We also have Crystal. Crystal I'm not fully sold on. She's kind of like a Maximus. We're not going to drop her early every single game, but sometimes the opponent is going to be running a deck that keeps their hand almost entirely full, so like a Thanos deck, where we will probably get more benefit out of the Crystal than what they will. And so that can help us draw into key resources like our Sarah, like our Silver Surfer. She's here. I honestly, she feels like one of the cards I could cut the most, but I don't know. I think she feels okay in most regards. She is a 3-cost, so she fits along with that Silver Surfer line. But at what cost? Sometimes you're going to give the opponent the key resource that they need to be able to win, and you're just going to draw an Iceman in return. And so we're going to be jumping into a couple of games. Overall, this deck feels really strong, but it is a Silver Surfer core. So would it be better to have more counter cards like Cosmo, like a Killmonger to counter those 1-cost cards, which we haven't seen as much of this season, but the threat is still potentially out there. I don't know what the best shell is. This one is a good one if you want to test out Shanna that's otherwise been unplayed in your collection, if you want to test out the over-the-air patch changes. So we're going to be jumping into a couple of games. Thank you guys as always for your continued support. We are nearing that 38,000 subscriber milestone, so if you're watching and not currently subscribed, please consider subscribing. We're going to jump into a couple of games. Hope you guys enjoy. They do have right now 5 cards, depending on what this is. The Reality Stone. Okay. They have 6 cards in hand. Maximus is only going to give them 1 whenever it reveals, which they would have drawn anyways, so they actually didn't get any benefit from the Maximus that we played. Strange Academy is going to potentially cap out their locations, so that's decent for us in Daily Bugle. On the last turn, we still don't have Silver Surfer, but Shanna I think is going to be really good. Rogue could potentially be really good at flipping that Soul Stone back in our favor. They snapped on us. Do they have a Professor X? I'm not so sure what they're excited about here. Killmonger, that is what they would be excited about. That is going to be an absolutely free death, right? That becomes very scary very quickly. The Black Widow doesn't make a lot of sense for me. They cleared so much space. We do have the Sarah, so we can play some additional cards. A Silver Surfer might be decent. I mean, we only have a handful of 3-cost cards on the board. So I think we do Shanna. You know what? I think we actually do Shanna, Rogue, and then Silver Surfer. We're going to lose this left lane. And I don't know what card it was here that left this super cool looking animation, but it's stuck there now. All right, I think we do this. I'm gonna gamble for it. We can impact every single lane. Yes, they probably have a death. Ooh, if death goes here, but Spider-Man, Killmonger, why would they have death? Do they have Galactus? You know, I'm worried about a Galactus. This may not be the proper line, but this is what we're going to go with. Okay, so they dropped 2 cards, so not Galactus. We have the Ant-Man in the right lane. That's going to be big. The Shanna in the left lane is just okay. The Rogue does steal the Power Stone in case they went with Thanos. Silver Surfer gives us a little bit of additional reach in both right and middle. Oh my gosh, we get the full 3-lane sweep, courtesy of Shanna, courtesy of Rogue stealing the Power Stone. They can't get the reach there. They can't get the reach anywhere else. What a huge tempo game swinging back in our favor after the Killmonger came down, clearing almost the entire board on turn number 5. Wow. Okay. So we get a morph. We could always try it for a morph. The wasp is interesting. That must mean that they have a lockjaw? But lockjaw with Black Widow built in is super interesting, because that means they have a very mixed amount of cards that could be beneficial to flip into. Let's go ahead and skip on 1 and 2, which is unfortunate. Our hand is getting pretty full. We have Brood. We have Crystal if they ever look like they're capped out or if we need that additional reach. But since we couldn't play early, I don't think so. I think it's going to be much more in line with like Brood into maybe setting up a Dazzler somewhere, into a Sarah. Ooh, and they haven't played a Stone on turns 1 or 2, so let's go ahead and snap. The Brood, the Shanna will buff up our Dazzler, make sure that this one's full, give us a pretty good reach in the other 2. And so we should have a good Dazzler effect here as well. They have the Lockjaw. So the Lockjaw rotation, the Spider-Man coming out of Lockjaw is pretty cool. Something like Vision is also really cool coming out of Lockjaw because you can continue rotating. But the Space Stone is not something that you want to see flipped out. For this turn, let's just go Dazzler. We're going to go just Dazzler. Next turn, we do something like just Sarah. And then on the last turn is where we flood. We have Rogue in case they get any ongoings. We have our Silver Surfer. We have Shanna, and that's probably what we're going to do for that full spread. We could always do something like Maximus or Shadow King or Storm, depending on what we... They drew back into the Wasp. Oh, and then they rotated back into a Stone. Super unfortunate. And they left Dream Dimension alone. They have Reality Stone, but they left Dream Dimension alone. Interesting. They do use Wave, but honestly, we were going to do the same play regardless of what popped up there. So Soul Stone over here, he's going to be a good target for Rogue. And then we can cap out this lane with our Shanna. Dazzler in this lane is going to be big. We have the Silver Surfer. I think we're in a good spot, even with the Dream Dimension being tough. They do have Death. They just didn't draw it last game, which is where the Killmonger comes from. Super interesting with the Lockjaw. Seems kind of potentially inconsistent, but interesting nonetheless. Can we outpower that now? Instead of Shanna, we could always do Maximus there. We could always do this number. This is a consistent amount of power. 7 extra plus the 8 gives us decent reach, but it doesn't spread as wide. Even though Shanna's really, really good here, I think we're going to go Rogue, Shanna that goes here, here, and here, and then Silver Surfer. That gives us a good impact on all 3 locations. 2, 4, 6 brings it up to 12. Have to be a 3 power or more 1 cost. Oh, I changed my mind again. Let's do this, this, and this. That's our final answer. We're locking it in. Magneto mid brings the Broods. Actually, that's fine. Brings the Broods into mid. The Maximus in the left is fine, but the right lane is ours. So that definitely wasn't going to be enough reach for them to win. It breaks our Dazzler bonus a little bit, but it's fine. Once Silver Surfer comes down, it is all going to be dust in the wind. All right, next up we have old Zachary. The first location is Aunt May's. I don't like doing a 1 cost into Aunt May's unless I know they don't have a Killmonger or if we have some way to protect it. So we're going to do Iceman starting out in the right lane. Quantum Realm doesn't really hurt us all that much. Unfortunately, we don't have a card to play this turn. Looks like maybe a curve with Shanna early might be our line. I do like to use it as a surprise drop. That may not be possible, though. Oh, they get Mirage, and there is no telling what card they steal from us. None. Zero indication because they were all the same cost. Dark Dimension's kind of cool. We could hide our Shanna now. We could definitely hide Shanna there to get that surprise reach. We have Shadow King, offset any like negative from Quantum Realm. It brings this back down to 2 as well. That's a really sleek Mirage variant. For a card that not as many people play, looks really sleek. Okay, let's go Brood. Let's go Brood for now. That's going to push one Brood somewhere else, but the other two will stay in Aunt May's. And then the one is going to be 5. The rest are going to be 3. So it does push into Dark Dimension. They do hide in Dark Dimension. I kind of like Maximus there as well. That's a lot of big base power. So let's do that. We can always use Shanna on the last turn, doing something like here. We're looking for Sarah? Sarah or Dazzler would be beautiful here. Okay, so Storm. I guess Storm's not... Storm's pretty bad, isn't it? So our Maximus is not going to get the Silver Surfer bonus. I guess we're just going to go something like Shadow King, and then we'll do Shanna and the Surfer, and call that a day. We don't know a lot about their deck here. Nick Fury. Ooh, so it's probably a Collector, Devil Dino style deck. Can we outpower that right lane? I have no idea. So they accidentally capped out their hand, leaving Kitty Pryde vulnerable. We can't do anything, so it's not like it matters. But I think Shanna and then a Silver Surfer, that's going to be an extra 2 question mark, and then 6, so it brings us up to 10 question mark, and then a little bit of a bump here, a little bit of a bump here. It's not comfortable enough to snap into. All right, they were scared of the puppy power. We did end up getting the retreat. All right, so they left for 1. Sakaar could pull into some really bad or some really okay cards. Crystal's fine, Forge is fine, Sarah's great. Let's go ahead and see what it does, though. Okay, they have a Quinjet. Ooh, our Sarah early. They're Nick Fury early, so they get the benefit of the Quinjet early on. They also have their hand really full, so they can always do a 6 cost on 5 and a 6 cost on 6 from Nick Fury. But the only downside is they don't have a lot of free room to draw additional cards. So I think Crystal becomes more of a free-ish play, because most of their cards are going to generate additional cards. The Mirage, the Kitty Pryde wants to bounce back in. I assume there's additional ones there. So we do have Forge and Dazzler. I think we do both into Stark Tower next turn. The extra discount from Sarah is going to be so good in combination. The early discount from Sarah is going to be so good with Crystal forcing us to draw additional cards. They also, I don't think, are going to get as much benefit from them as we do. We have Rogue, so we could try to steal the Quinjet or the Zabu here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Let's do Forge and Rogue. That will steal one of these two. I do think they're going to have either Hawk or Dino, but we're fine. Ooh, they do get the Enchantress on 3. And so we're going to steal something. Maybe we steal their Quinjet. It's not going to give us any actual... Ooh, Zabu's pretty decent as well. It's not going to give us any additional benefit, but it's fun nonetheless. We now get Maximus, and this one is kind of cool because their hand is full. They are pressing at the maximum possible advantage that they can. They can't draw anymore. Mirage can't do anything. Kitty Pryde coming out of their deck is a liability, or out of their hand is a liability. And so although they have a lot of resources, it becomes tough to navigate all of them. The Cosmo in Stark Tower is interesting. We do use Maximus. They will be able to pull. They won't be able to pull Kitty Pryde back into their hand, unfortunately for them. And I am going to go ahead and do a Storm here. If they can get Kitty Pryde back in, then they will be able to get some additional reach in Stark Tower. But it's tough for them. It's definitely going to be a tough one for them. I want to make sure that we can't shift any cards, because I think we get more benefit from the cards being placed exactly where they are currently than they do, because they want to clear this lane and leave that question mark of the Cosmo. The Doctor Doom is big. Wow. It only impacts 2 lanes, though, because they capped it out with Kitty Pryde, which is kind of funny. They do have 1 more 6 cost they can use. Kitty Pryde gets pulled back in. I wish we had the Sarah bonus so we could do Shanna, Dazzler, and Silver Surfer here. But you know, I think we're probably okay. They have a Kitty Pryde. It's not huge, but if they do have Quinjet, so they could do Kitty Pryde and a 6 cost here. I don't know. We're going to send it. We're going to send it for the full 8. See if they are as committed as we are. I'm going to go to the RNG Casino. I wish we had the Silver Surfer bonus. But I think I like Shanna a little bit better to give us a bump in the left lane. They fully commit to the right. Hella resummons nothing. Kitty Pride resummons nothing. The Shanna comes down and pumps in the left lane with a Bast. That's fine because the Dazzler is going to be enough to be beautiful. We grab another quick and easy early 8 cubes, and that gives us a huge tempo swing back in our direction. All right, old Zachary is down to 1 cube. I have to say, he has stuck this one out. He's going to continue to claw his way, see if he can find the way to victory. We have a Dazzler, which is going to be great with the Central Park that just came up. We have Brood, which is going to be great in Muir Island. It's only not going to be great because we are going to cap it out. Their Collector comes down, so they do have that built in, but I think it's going to be a little bit too little too late. Superflow does nothing for either of us. We could always try to save or conserve one spot here to do Shadow King plus Dazzler. Shadow King would offset it. Dazzler would win this lane. And that would offset any bonus that their Collector got. But honestly, I think capping it out early, getting the extra power on the Brood, the extra reach, is going to clear up a lot of worry for us. And so that's what... They called us out. Okay, we need a Maximus or something. Can't. Oh no, they called us out. They absolutely said you're not going to do what you thought you were going to do. Let's play Dazzler there. That's going to give us eventual additional reach. They stopped their Brood dead in its tracks. Beautiful play. So the Quinjet comes down. The Zabu comes down. They are running a little bit low on space. I think that's okay. So Sarah, I think in the left lane is probably our play, right? That way it's safe from Enchantress. It's safe from any kind of counter. Plus it's going to cap out our Dazzler. We don't have Shanna in hand, so we can do that. Next turn we do Rogue, Shadow King, Silver Surfer, Crystal, Silver Surfer, something. Maybe a Maximus? We'll see. Nick Fury comes down. Nick Fury is going to be big at bumping up that Collector in the left lane. The more locations we can cap out, the better. Plus we get the 2/4 extra in this lane. It's not great, probably not even good, but we are going to do Shadow King and then Crystal in this lane. They have initiative. We're going to do both of these here into the Silver Surfer in the right lane. Now, the only other consideration I have would be like a Rogue. Rogue, if they do like a Devil Dino, could potentially give us the initiative or the lead that we need here. But it's going to be iffy. They may go ahead and play that into Superflow. We don't know where that would come down. Okay, one card. The Dr. Doom is big there. The Crystal 2/4. We tie in mid. It comes down to a point differential, which I think we win by 1. Wow. They got Dr. Doom 2 times from Nick Fury, right? That was almost enough for them to win. Luckily for us, we went Crystal instead of Rogue. That one extra power brought us into a tie in Central Park. We won left by 3. They won right by 2. Zach, we will catch you around next time. All right, for our final big bad, we have Spider-Ham. Let's go ahead and do Iceman in the left. We do have our Sarah, we have our Silver Surfer, so some great early game resources for us. We don't have Forge into Brood, but honestly, saving it, just as a 2/4 is fine. You don't need to save it just for the Brood. It's in here as that kind of extra power, but it's not something you have to get benefit. I just like it because that way we can throw all 3 of the OTAs into one deck, and it's kind of cool. All right, let's go Forge into White Hot Room. And then we might even try to bluff them and snap, making them think that we have enough to fill it up. Unless we do get Brood, then it's not a bluff, I guess. So now our problem becomes Maximus is within Shang-Chi range, and that was not my intention. But we're still going to go with it. We're still going to go with it. They've only played now one card. Oh, they have Brood of their own. They've played one card, so they only get one additional benefit from the Maximus play here. Unfortunately, it is that they have the Brood, and we do not. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw Shadow King. I think with this the way that it is, looking like they're going to have the extra energy, I do not think we can... I don't think we can afford to skip turns here. They don't draw because of the Dakin discard. We could force that again, but I think it's going to be more benefit to do the Sarah. If they don't snap, we may stick this one out just to feel it out. They definitely have the advantage, having that Brood, having that Dakin. The Nakia, the Sarah both come down. They will draw one card here. They get a big discount plus the White Hot Room. Is it ever worth it to stay? I don't know that it is. We have initiative, so it's not like we can do anything super cool. Like this would be our best bet. And they could just play out all of their cards. I don't even want to risk the one additional. White Hot Room, I think if it wasn't for the White Hot Room here, yeah, I think I'm okay staying. But I think with the extra 3 energy plus the Sarah reduction, puts it over the edge. I don't think it's even worth trying. All right, so we start out with Forge again. Bar Sinister is also really cool with our Silver Surfer, but I may leverage that for a Storm instead. Because them having cards like Dakin, we could never beat a Dakin in the left lane. If they have Gambit, we could never beat a Gambit. I mean, maybe. Maybe we could beat a Gambit in the left lane, but most likely not. Let's go Forge, maybe Storm in the left lane next turn, maybe Storm into Death's Domain. Mr. Sinister, and they used it outside of Death's Domain, so I assume they probably have Brood here. And it looks like they're running just like a body buff deck. And then, and then Sinister London comes down. So that's not fantastic. I think we have to Storm Sinister London. A double Dakin is... We can't compete against a double Dakin if it can spread all across the board. They do go with the quadruple Dakin in Bar Sinister. So as long as we can drop initiative, we can always do Shadow King plus Silver Surfer to overcome the power that their Dakin has. God, man, that is so many blades. That is such a big Dakin, and I think we're fine. Strangely enough, I think we are absolutely fine with it. We get Brood now, so Brood here is actually big. Do we ever go Shanna this turn? Shanna this turn fills up some in this lane. I know the ordering is strange, but I almost want to do this. Doing a Brood into the flooded lane feels right, but against my better judgment, we won't. We'll do Shanna into the flooded lane. Iron Lad, what does Iron Lad pull here? The massive Iron Lad himself pulls a Brood. How huge of them. Wow, and we get Ebony Maw. How huge of our own regard. My goodness. Let's go Brood now. We can't go Sarah. It's not going to stick in Death's Domain. We know that they do have Brood, but getting a big buff on the rest, I think, is going to be really, really tough for them. Ooh, yeah, no, they have initiative in the right lane, so that's good. The left and right, we can't steal priority here. Perfect. We don't want it. That is all yours, my friend. We want to make sure that after everything is said and done, the Dakin is going to be offset by Shadow King. And so I think we're okay here, strangely enough. Shard Destruction, the Shard Destruction, and then the Brood makes a lot of sense. No, just 3 Shard Destructions. Interesting, okay. And so we do play in this lane. We get a decent lead, but they have, 128 power in Bar Sinister. This is going to go back down to 4, 8, 16, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We can beat it by 1. That's a lot closer than I would like for it to be. Oh, man, they can't turn down a 64 power Dakin, can they? If they do, that is one heck of a laydown. Let's lock it in and find out. I think we're pretty confident here. We get an extra 4 in the right lane. Skillmonger. Skillmonger is scary here. They win the right lane, but I think we can win mid. Yeah, they have Brood. We can win mid because of our Silver Surfer. So perfectly fine there. The Skillmonger almost came back to bite us with that play. But it also actually gives us an additional reach in Bar Sinister that I don't think they were anticipating. Your poor Dakin was so big. He was so mighty. And then he fell so far. We will grab the 8 cubes fairly early on. Very early on. Against Spider Ham. Shadow King putting in work, you guys. All of the buff cards. The Shuri that's real popular. The Dakin. Shadow King can absolutely do wondrous things. So I do think we're going to go Silver Surfer to help pad the right lane. Otherwise, we could do, instead of the Silver Surfer, we could do Maximus. So they get an Iron Lad, which is big. It does hit their Killmonger. Wow, that Killmonger top deck was so massive. But everything that got buffed up in Necrotia is going to be offset by our Shadow King. Turns out we did not need to go so heavy in this lane. We could have done the Maximus instead of Silver Surfer. That could be the reason that we lose here. It's gonna be... No, it's not even gonna be tight. I guess it's kind of tight. Lamentus is crazy right off the jump. We have Storm, we have Brood. Maximus is now not gonna do anything for them. Silver Surfer doesn't do anything for either of us. Dazzler, we have some decent reach in Dazzler. We might as well push them all in every turn that we can. Ooh. Now, their hand is very, very full, so figuring out how to play this round. Ooh, that is a massive Brood. My goodness. They don't put much extra faith in mid, though. So depending on what we pop... Oh, yeah, the Killmonger and the Nova. Nah, they got this. No matter what we get. Squirrel Girl comes down in the right lane, giving us additional reach in the left lane. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make enough of a difference. Whew, look at these big guys. Those are some massive Broods. Oh, we have initiative. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, they got us. Ladies and gentlemen. They got us. All right, let's do this. This is the most raw power for us. We're going to do the Shadow King just to offset this one, but they probably moved this one. And then it's going to be a double Silver Surfer and Prayer type of situation. A Gambit, double Calling Wing. They could do some really big things. They move their right Dakin, and so we do offset this one in mid. The Rogue is just there because it's a 3 cost. It's going to get buffed up twice by the Silver Surfer. We should win the right lane, no problem. The big issue becomes the middle lane. Especially doubling up on 4 twice still is going to be really big. Whoa, 4 times, doubling up on it 4 times. Oh no. It's so much power. All right, there's nothing we can do. Dang, Dakin. Dropping initiative there could have potentially given us an out, but my god, was that brutal. Oh, they get the big win. It comes down to a point differential in mid, but we don't have Silver Surfer. Oh wow, Shadow King's offset himself. Interesting. Okay. They go Absorbing Man to copy the Forge into what's in Muir Island, which is the Calling Wing, which discards the Muramasa Shard. They actually have the lead in the 2 remaining lanes. And here we are, the final round. Them retreating in Lamentus may have been what was able to make this happen for them. Maybe. We still might be in this. We have some really good resources now. We have our Shanna, our Maximus, our Sarah. We can always storm Limbo to surprise take it away. I don't know that we want to storm ahead of time in this game, because I think stealing Limbo away could be that surprise factor, similar to the Shadow King in Bar Sinister from game 1 that gave us those 8 cubes early. I think their deck is probably pumping more power more consistently, obviously. Oh, no. Teelan. Teelan, I barely knew him. How big of a deal is that? Are we okay risking it for the draw? No, we have to. We're going to do Storm into a Teelan. We have to. I do like the idea of stealing Limbo away. Can't do it. Now, to be fair, they are playing this deck very, very well. That Forge into Absorbing Man into something else combo on that last turn was big and probably, honestly, something I wouldn't have seen while playing. So the Storm on 3, we're going to go Brood on 4. They do use the Dakin. If they do Absorbing Man to potentially double up on it, could be even more treacherous. Otherwise, I think we can outpower just the singular Dakin, hopefully. At max, it would be probably 12. And so we should be able to do that unless they have Absorbing Man to just really lean in on that ability, which I'm hoping they don't. But we'll see. Let's go Sarah here. We have 2 additional turns to get the benefit from Sarah. They go Iron Lad. What does Iron Lad hit for them? Hopefully nothing major. Okay, it hits the Calling Wing. So that's okay. We are okay with the Calling Wing. I thought for a second it hit Absorbing Man and generated another stone. I have 5 cards in hand. Let's go ahead and we can always do whatever we draw next turn along with 2 3 costs. They don't have Sarah down. So did we finally find our chip in the armor, our window? I think we go ahead and do Maximus. That may give them the resources though. I'm going to go Maximus to the left lane. I thought about doing it in mid, but I think we're competing for left and right here. They could potentially have a Gambit that we haven't seen. No, we've seen their entire deck. Okoye is the last card we haven't seen. They do go ahead and use Killmonger, and that's before our Dazzler comes down, and so it is going to set their Iron Lad back to base. Had they been able to swing this location, they would have had us, but as it currently stands, I think we finally found the break in their armor. They don't have Killmonger anymore, so our Shanna play is safe. Let's go this. It won't generate anything here. This is a loss lane for sure. But Dazzler's huge in this left lane. The 1 cost over there, I think, will be big. Hopefully it doesn't stab us in the back. Yeah, we'll go ahead and lock it in. They came so far. The Brood in mid, I think they've just given up at this point. The oh no, they haven't. The Brood so that they could do the Absorbing Man. The big Absorbing Man in the left lane is, well, as I said, big. We have the Silver Surfer that's going to give us an extra 6 over there, plus the little bit from Nightcrawler, plus the bonus from Dazzler. We are seeing all of them come and work in perfect harmony to finally bring down the big bad that is Spider-Ham. Let's go. From 1 round to 8, you guys wanted longer. You guys wanted longer videos. Here you go. Enjoy it. We will grab the Infinity Ticket. Thank you guys as always for being here. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.